I want to tell you a story. Not about how I beat a disease. Not about how I found money or success. I want to tell you about how I stopped being afraid of death. I've been afraid of it my whole life. Since childhood, when my grandfather died and I saw for the first time that people leave. Since my youth, when I realized that one day I would leave too. That fear lived inside me. I never talked about it. I just carried it with me. I didn't fly on airplanes. I didn't go to the mountains. I didn't tell people I loved them. I was afraid to take risks. I was afraid to try new things. I lived in a small cage, and I thought that was life. My name is Frank, and now I'm going to tell you how I stopped being afraid. I went to work. I paid bills. I took care of my family. From the outside it looked like I was living, but I was just existing. I did what I had to do. I didn't do what I wanted to do. I had dreams. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to drive across the country. I wanted to learn to play the guitar. I never did any of it. Every time I wanted to start something, a voice inside would say, "What if it doesn't work out? What if I waste my time? What if I get sick and can't finish?" I listened to that voice, and I never did anything. I kept putting life off for later, for tomorrow, for someday, and tomorrow never came. I can't say anything special happened, no catastrophe, no fatal diagnosis. I just looked at myself in the mirror one morning. I stared at my reflection and suddenly thought, what if I died right now? What would I have accomplished? What would I leave behind? I couldn't find an answer. I couldn't find a single thing I was proud of. A single thing I'd done, not for money, but for my soul. I realized there was emptiness inside me. I walked, breathed, ate, drank, but inside there was nothing. I was scared, not of death. I was scared that I had already died, that I was dead inside. I understood. I wasn't afraid of death. I was afraid that my life meant nothing. I didn't change everything at once. That would have been too much. I started small. I took a notebook and wrote down a list of things I wanted to do. There were only 10 items. I promised myself, every month I would do one item. In the first month, I bought a guitar. I'd never played guitar before. It sat in the corner, waiting. For a whole month, I was afraid to touch it. In the second month, I picked it up. I found video tutorials online. I started learning. I was terrible at it. My fingers wouldn't obey. I got angry. I wanted to quit. But I remembered, what if I die and never play a single song? I kept going. After 6 months, I could play a couple of simple songs. Not for a concert, for myself. But it wasn't about the guitar. It was about finally doing what I wanted. I stopped saying tomorrow. I started saying today. I wrote to an old friend I hadn't talked to in 20 years. Just wrote, "How are you? I was thinking about you." A week later, we talked on the phone. 2 weeks later, we met. I drove to a city I'd never been to, alone, without a plan. I just got in the car and went. I started telling my family that I loved them. Not on birthdays. Just like that, in the morning, over breakfast. I stopped waiting for a special moment. Because I realized, the special moment is now. And something amazing happened. The more I did, the less I feared. I used to be afraid I wouldn't have time. Now I was doing things, and the fear faded. I used to be afraid I'd leave nothing behind. Now I was leaving things, through my actions, my words, my choices. I realized a simple truth. The fear of death isn't the fear of the end. It's the fear of emptiness. The fear that you won't leave a mark, that you won't matter to anyone. And when you start truly living, the emptiness fills up, the fear fades. Not all at once, not completely, but it becomes smaller, quieter. It stops being the master. I'm not saying I'm not afraid of death at all anymore. I am. Less, but still. But now I see it differently. Death is not an enemy, not a punishment, not something to be afraid of. Death is just the end of a story. But if the story was good, the end isn't scary. I realized that what matters isn't how long you lived, it's how you lived. You can live 100 years and never feel alive. Or you can live 50 and feel every minute like you're here, breathing, needed. I chose the second path. If I could tell my younger self one thing, I'd say this: stop waiting. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. We're always waiting. Waiting for time. Waiting for money. Waiting for things to be convenient. And life passes by. Every day you put off until tomorrow is a day you lose. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. Start now. In small steps. One action. One step. Fear fades when you start moving. I noticed I'd changed. I used to wake up in the morning and think, another day. What do I have to do today? Now I wake up and think, another day. What can I do today? It's a small difference, but a big one. I used to live out of obligation. Now I live out of desire. I used to wait for life to bring me joy. Now I create that joy myself. I don't know how much time I have left. Maybe 20 years, maybe 5, maybe 1 minute. But I know one thing. I don't want to wait anymore. I stopped fearing death when I started living, not because I became brave, but because I realized I was afraid of the wrong thing. I was afraid of emptiness. I was afraid that my life would pass for nothing. When I started filling it with what I love, the fear faded. It didn't disappear completely, but it stopped being the main thing. Now the main thing is life. It's here, right now, and I want you to feel it too. Don't wait. Start, today, right now.